Most jó, ne menjon messzire. Ó, nagyon homályosan látom, közelebb.
Igen.
Én.
Látsz?
Ja.
Mind a kettőnket? My name is George Rusznak. I was born in Budapest, Hungary in May 1938. Our family was a rather ordinary, lower middle class family. My father owned a grocery store. He was taken away in, I believe, somewhere around 1942. I remember him being taken away. My mother was a remarkable woman. She passed away in 1991. Not only she has given me life on several different occasions, not only in the physical sense, but also contributed to my success and to my well-being by being totally unselfish and telling me to go. She was willing to sacrifice again without even knowing what she is sacrificing. Bye. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
She's a fellow Hungarian. She's a fellow survivor of the Holocaust. She had lost her father as well, and many of her relatives. A couple of youngsters, we got married. We had no money. We could not speak the language. But the only thing we knew for sure is that money grew on trees and the streets were paved with gold. I was 6 years old when the things were happening that I remember the most. Most importantly, I remember a constant state of fear. I remember very, very clearly the time when the people in the building were asked to assemble in the courtyard for the transport that was being formed for the concentration camp. Behind us stood a young man. My mother turned to him and said to him, please let us go. And for some reason, by some virtual miracle, he said, okay, jump into this empty apartment behind me. And so we did. My mother got in touch with someone who helped us leave the ghetto at night and helped us find people who would hide us. And we did. We went into hiding, and we were able to survive. In 1956, when the revolution broke out and the borders opened up, my mother encouraged me to try and escape and find my way to freedom and democracy, which I did. In Austria, I was taken to a refugee camp where I was at that time 18 years old, 1956. I was in several different refugee camps, but eventually ended up one which was primarily for Jewish refugees. And we were kept there basically until we could find a country that would accept us. Szívem, te árva rabmadár, kit szűk, szoros kalitkazár. Légy csendesebben odabenn, ne hánykolódjál oly igen. Here's this book of poems by the greatest Hungarian poet. And what's significant about this book is that when we decided to escape communism, and it was literally an escape, I decided to take this with me. And obviously thinking that this is the most valuable thing that I own.
I was born in Budapest, and I grew up there, and my father was taken away when I was 8 months old, so I did not have a father, so it was only my mother and I. My mother decided that we should escape from Hungary. And the truth is that I really didn't have any notion as to why she wanted to do that, because I didn't have any problems. I was going to school, I was going to music school, I lived my life, and all of a sudden she decides to up and go out of the country. She decided that we have to go to America because we have to live, we've had enough of communism and we want to live under freedom, so we left. They took us to various refugee camps, and one of these refugee camps is where I met George. And we were there with a bunch of other kids, almost all of us the same age. There were lots of kids. I can't remember how many, but I would say, 15, 20 of us? Mm-hmm. Very close in age, very close in age. And we played various games. And somebody decided that I'm going to be the recording secretary. And we were playing a game. I think we were playing as to what are the capitals of different cities and
Of countries.
Different countries and what have you. And I wrote down Rome with a small, not a capital R. And George gave me such a hard time that I said, I will never speak to this boy again because he was absolutely impossible. And that's how it all started. Isn't that true?
Yeah, I guess you got mad at me, but at least you noticed me.
That's right.
That's right. Nobody could understand. I mean, it was pretty easy to see why I would love Julie, but I'm not sure that people understood, especially her mother, why she would feel so strongly about me.
I think she just was so dumbfounded about the whole situation, that she leaves everything behind. She wants to go to America. She's got this thing that she really is making the biggest decision of her life, and then here's her daughter, all of a sudden, she's fallen for a penniless refugee.
That's the place where Julie and I met. This is the restaurant where we used to come when we were real rich in the refugee camp. If I made some money, I'd treat Julie to a dinner here. One of the things my mother had always hoped for, that I find a nice Jewish girl. And in fact, that was one of the things that I think motivated her for me to leave the country, because in Hungary there weren't very many young Jewish people left. So the odds of that happening were very, very small. Now, I'm not sure that she was very happy to hear that at age 18 in a refugee camp I was getting married with no profession, no language, no money, going off into a new world. She was quite disappointed to hear that, but she supported us, and she was somewhat comforted by the fact that I did choose a Jewish girl, a nice Jewish girl, another Hungarian, who had similar experiences. There's another item here which says probably more about this country than me. But up here, there's a nameplate, if you can see it, that's set on my desk saying George Rusznak, President. And the significance of that nameplate is that after I was promoted to the president of the company that I worked for, which was less than 10 years after I arrived in this country, penniless, without an education, and with no English language skills. So it basically goes to show you what one can accomplish in this country if one is prepared to take advantage of the opportunities that are available to us. Getting involved in the exhibit helped me realize how fortunate I have been. It made me into a philosopher, and it made me think a lot about what is it that we're doing that can make people do things like this to one another, and what were the things that made those who helped us take a chance and help us. And I think that's a very important part of the story.
I want to end with taking you back to your childhood for a second, and I'm sort of imagining that boy that got taken out of the building and was at the end of the line, was taken into the wardrobe and hiding there in the dark, and I wonder what you might say to that young boy today.
The advice that I would give to that young boy is to not lose your faith and hope. Trust your mother.